Do you guys remember in 2017 when Black Mirror had an episode called USS Callister? Well, The Amazing Digital Circus is essentially if you really tried to pull off that kind of plot where it's a bunch of people's brain scans trapped in a video game, but then you desperately tried to trick everyone watching it into thinking that it wasn't pulling a USS Callister. See, because once you understand that The Amazing Digital Circus is pulling a USS Callister, you have this immediate awareness of what exactly is actually wrong with the plot of The Amazing Digital Circus. I truly believe that Gooseworks was petty enough to rewrite the ending of the show simply because the fandom was so bad. But I actually want to believe that there was originally some intended, way more interesting ending for the show that would have made not 9 episodes, but like 10 episodes, you feel me? So that it would be actually like a season of a show instead of more or less a limited series. The first part of my solution for the show is to let Cain be the antagonist and let Cain be defeated as the antagonist. The end of episode 8? Girl, that ended perfectly. Oh, Cain's realizing the error of his ways. No, bitch, he's feeling himself be deleted. Let him be the antagonist. We need an antagonizing force that the characters can thus bounce off of, interact with, grow and change with. And the second part of my solution is to let your characters have character arcs. Create final destinations for your characters and guide us to those final destinations. You show us an exit door and then you guide all of the characters through that exit door, metaphorically. Let's put both of these principles into practice. Take the show up to episode 8. We have Cain get deleted. The beginning of episode 9 reveals Cain's backstory of consuming Abel, right? And so we get the lore of Cain connecting to the Wi-Fi, learning of the people's information, putting their files together and creating the sprites and creating the circus. Right. Just the way that whole part was sequenced was really weird. Confused the ever-loving shit out of me. I was like, this has to be a flashback because we're getting information about characters that don't exist anymore. But then he's leaving and he's also... like, what? So episode 9 starts with a lore dump flashback with a bunch of information that is correctly contextualizing how the digital circus came to be. And then we can get to the true opening of the episode with all the characters in the black and white environment and the reveal of a new character, Abel. Abel as a character can be designed in a myriad of ways, whether it be the blue ball sort of design that was used for Cain in the flashback. We're redefining it as a flashback now. Or maybe it's the polar opposite of Cain, where his design, his Cain's original design is big old fucking eyes and a big old jaw. Big old, well, teeth, not really a mouth. The idea is that Cain is kind of designed in an egotistical way. He's the ringmaster. He wants to be known as the one who creates the games. Whereas Abel, in contrast, wants to play games with the humans. He's completely human-focused. Trying to have Cain be a delusional artificial intelligence who wants to be good at this one thing, but also trying to have him listen to the people and like trying to give him a redemption arc, it doesn't make sense. Because Cain is definitely the force that's antagonizing the characters. Like, Cain is the problem. Even if he's trying to be good, he's still ultimately the thing that's setting shit in motion. Like, why don't we just let him be evil? And then have this backup character that we could have totally had, Abel, be like a if not good, at the very least neutral artificial intelligence that could be reasoned with. Abel is not the creative artificial intelligence. It is simply the generative artificial intelligence. And so it cannot create any new games. It simply wants to play games with the characters. So Kinger, being a chess piece, simply suggests that they play a game of chess. And Abel obliges just like that. The actual details of the chess game don't really matter so much as the character beat that I want to happen in the chess game, in that Jax sees that Ragatha's piece, whatever Ragatha is in trouble, and Jax, in like a last split-second decision, makes a sacrifices himself on the board. Now the thing about Abel is that he's more fundamental to the code of the game. So there isn't simply place that you go when you lose the game. Jax accidentally gets deleted. Like, Abel straight up deletes Jax. Right. This is important because what used to be used as a character beat for Cain gets transferred to Jax. Jax goes into the void. Jax is confronted with the chasm. Jax learns how to generate pieces while being stuck in the void. Jax climbs his way to the door, connects to the internet, finds all these files. You know what I mean? Jax will be the person to, if they return to the circus, you know, he's going to be the character that transmits that information to the cast, and not just Cain. Never made sense for Cain to do that. Like, Cain's just like, guys, I'm so sorry. Anyways, here's your real names. Your Honor, Deferk? Jax being in the void is also a really good place where we could store all of Jax's flashbacks. Scrolling through his psyche, we can have a bunch of those cuts back to Ribbit and their downfall. Jax is reflecting on that, and he's like, damn, I'm kind of a cunt. So meanwhile, back on the ranch, Abel reveals that he actually deleted Jax. There's a couple character moments where everybody's sort of grieving Jax, but they're also definitely in media res, still playing a chess game. So more things happen, pieces move, and then a passed pawn is created. And there's no pieces in front of that passed pawn. And the passed pawn keeps going forward and forward and forward, and it's one square away from promotion. Abel's like, oh shit. Oh shit. And the passed pawn promotes. The pawn floats in the air, and it transforms into a beautiful queen. And this is where Jax returns to the game. Jax sees an opening in the void, jumps in, and out comes Juniper. Jax has changed her name. Her name is Juniper. Yes, she will be a trans character in episode 9. Hell yeah! Let's have an actual trans character that's trans in the show during Pride Month. I'm surprised that we did not have that. It was just, oh, this is a lore thing instead of an actual character trait for the character that was set up from the beginning, and it's Pride Month. But no. Oh my god, let Jax be trans. Jax is now Juniper. And this is where we use that Stevie Wonder song. Isn't she lovely? Isn't she wonderful? Isn't she precious? Less than 1 minute old. Literally, because in the context of the game, she's only been back for like 50 seconds. Jax, now Juniper, is created an entire montage on the board, coordinating pieces, moving herself around on the board, and mate is incoming. The Stevie Wonder song is still playing. It builds to the climax. No. Check and mate. Abel disengages. The circus goes back to normal. Juniper transmits all the information that she learned while in the void, and she also lets everybody know that they are now connected to Wi-Fi. So that's awesome. They now have the infinite expanse of the internet to explore, indefinitely. Whereas episode 9 is the climactic episode, the end game of the show. Episode 10 is an official denouement, where all the characters now being connected to the internet can practically do whatever they want, pretty much. And so this final episode essentially reveals the final states of all the characters. As Kinger gets more of his memory back, he utilizes Abel in order to grant himself official architect status of the circus. Kinger essentially makes himself admin, and more so, he allows each of the citizens of the circus to make a choice. Would you like to stay as a citizen of the circus? Would you like to leave and go onto the internet? Or would you like to stop existing? That is to say, Grant Kinger creates 3 doors. One is to the internet, one is to stay as a citizen of the circus, and one is to simply be deleted. Just return to the void. Personally, I don't really care about the technical distinctions between the first 2 doors, but if you want some clarity, it's kind of like the difference between having an interface, but like being a citizen of the circus, versus like having your program actually be uploaded onto the internet and being able to hop from website to website. I don't really have a full vision for what that would be just yet, but I know which characters would go where, you know? Zubul obviously says, fuck this shit, I'm out. She becomes an internet citizen. And Gangle follows right behind her because, you know, they match freak. That's fine. Juniper and Ragatha decide to stay citizens of the circus in order to welcome in any new citizens that happen to show up. Ragatha, Juniper, they're getting their shit figured out. They're becoming good friends, da-da-da-da. Kinger essentially becomes the new Kane, except he's way more cool and way more chill and way better at listening. And Pomni, in a dramatic twist, we hear the build-up of the music. Da, 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 da. Pomni walks through the door of deletion. It opens to the void, except the further you look in, the more fog there is, and Pomni walks into the fog of mystery, deletion, the void. And that's how the show ends. The door slams shut, it zooms out to the circus, zooms out to the world, zooms out to the void, and then zooms out to the computer. End credits. The title of episode 9 being Kinger's Gambit, the title of episode 10 being The Long Goodbye. I'm cooking with Crisco. I'm cooking with a little Crisco. You have to admit it, there's some Crisco in this cooking. I really don't want to talk crap about the show because I enjoyed it. Like, the pilot was questionable and there was a lot of Chekhov's gunning that never really paid off for the rest of the show, but that's really my only strong criticism aside from how it ended. Like, the structure of that final episode was just so floundered together. You could pretty easily poke a lot of holes into episode 9. But I liked the show. You know what I mean? I hope that my rewrite emphasizes the parts of the show that I really liked as not a mystery, but as a thriller. It's a psychological thriller. It's not like this big, puzzly conspiracy mystery like Gravity Falls or like Infinity Train. It was written to be a psychological thriller. So that's where I wanted to go. And that's where I want it to end. I hope that my rewrite doesn't seem like an attack or a criticism of the way that the show ended originally. And I hope I have communicated myself clearly and effectively. That's it. I'm going to bed.